In the summer, Arsenal signed Viktor Gyokeres to be their difference maker in front of goal. But against Manchester City, Gyokeres was an invisible man. He failed to complete a dribble, failed to create a chance, failed to take a shot, and failed to score or assist. Despite the poor showing, I think this is more of an Arteta problem than a Gyokeres problem. Hello, welcome back. I'm Statman Dave, and today I'll be explaining the tactical change that will fix Arsenal. Remember to subscribe if you're new, smash the like button. But anyway, let's get this party started. Viktor Gyokeres is one of the most dangerous number 9s in European football, but Arsenal are not getting the best out of him at the moment. Viktor Gyokeres, in terms of profile, something we mentioned previously on this channel, he is a power forward. He's got the ability to hold the ball up like a target man and the speed to get in behind, does really well attacking the channels. The big problem with Arsenal at the moment is they're treating him like a poacher. He's basically sitting on that last line, waiting for possession to be circled out wide, before then maybe getting into the box and being a threat in there. They are massively underutilizing the Swede at the moment. The big thing with Viktor Gyokeres, where he plays his best football, is arguably when you're dropping balls in behind the back line for him to run after. From those positions, he can use his ability to create chances by himself with dribbles and then get shots away or lay the ball off to his teammates. The big issue for Arsenal at the moment is they're simply not getting him the football. They're not playing direct enough. In fact, Arsenal got the third lowest percentage of passes that go forward in the Premier League this season. For a manager that stated that he wanted to be more vertical to get the best out of new centre forward Viktor Gyokeres, Arteta is doing a bad job of implementing this, of finding his runs, of giving him the ball in these areas. And going back to that profile situation, what you kind of want to start to see from Arsenal, or what they need to start to do, is they need to adapt their tactics. One of the big things is these front 5 players. In terms of Gyokeres, as we mentioned, he is a threat in behind the defence. He loves making those moves. So use it. Utilize that. Play more vertical, play more direct. And that has got to come from both of the central midfield positions, be it Declan Rice and Mikel Moreno, the pair that started against Man City. They need to start finding these through balls in behind the defence. Similarly to the wingers, we need to see more from the likes of Trossard, Saka, Madueke, whichever combination Martinelli plays for Arsenal, cutting back inside and playing those balls into the channel. Too many times this season, we've seen Viktor Gyokeres shape to make a move or actually make a run in behind the defence and just get ignored. It's a waste of time signing someone like Viktor Gyokeres if you're going to play him like a poacher. It's almost similar to Erling Haaland at Man City. Most of the time, he is so far away from the ball. He's not contributing in the phases. If Arsenal wanted a false 9, they should have stuck with Kai Havertz. But now they've got Viktor Gyokeres, they've got to adapt their game. And there are a number of examples in the 1-1 draw with Manchester City where Gyokeres made the run into space, but his Arsenal teammates didn't play the pass. And simply, Gyokeres is not getting enough of the ball. So he's not going to create opportunities for his teammates, for himself. His ability to roll defenders or make runs in behind, create these kind of faux counter-attacking situations for other Arsenal's forwards. That's being when Arsenal are in this kind of mid-block situation or when they're breaking down the opposition's mid-block. That's where Gyokeres' movement is so dangerous. Or alternatively, when they're building up from their goalkeeper, again, that's when the opposition's line is going to be super high. They're going to be coming onto you. That is where you can create these types of moments. We need to see more passes that are going to feed Gyokeres making these types of movements in behind the opposition's line. One of the big things that Gyokeres was very good at Sporting Lisbon was drifting to the wing, receiving a long pass, and then going down the left-hand side. Arsenal need to adapt. Tactically, what we need to see from his teammates, such as Leandro Trossard and the right winger, be it Saka or Madueke, is getting into the penalty area and covering that position. And if we take a look at the numbers, the touches statistic is really telling. So at Sporting Club de Portugal, when Gyokeres really came alive in games, I'm talking hat-tricks, braces, 4 goals, assists, everything that you want in a number 9, usually you'd see Gyokeres have over 40 touches in the game. In terms of his average in Portugal in his last season, it was around 36 touches. In the final third was 24. In the penalty area, it was around 9. But the big thing that Arsenal aren't doing at the moment is allowing Gyokeres to be the guy that's going to carry from the final third into the penalty area. His carries at Sporting were 2.9. And these numbers have all dropped off massively so far this season. This is a massive problem. You are not getting the ball to one of your most dangerous attackers, and this is something that Arteta needs to fix. And just looking at the shot creating action numbers as well, something that Gyokeres really excelled in Portugal, where it was around nearly 5, that has dropped to 1.36 per 90. Gyokeres has had one shot creating action following a dribble this season, and that led to a goal. Arsenal need to get the ball more to Gyokeres. In terms of the frequency, I think that is the real problem. As we mentioned, it didn't happen at all against Manchester City, but we saw moments against Bilbao, Forest and Leeds of Arsenal actually using him as a runner and him receiving balls in good areas and making things happen. If we look at the progressive pass numbers as well, a statistic that Gyokeres really did well last season, and he's not even close at Arsenal. His progressive pass numbers received have halved. Arsenal are simply not getting him the ball. This is a big thing. You sign a new 9, you don't get him the ball, you wonder why he doesn't score goals. It's crazy. Because actually, if you do go direct to Viktor Gyokeres, he can make things happen. Take this example against Nottingham Forest. Arsenal at this point in the game were 2 goals up. But what I want to see more from Arteta, and what he needs to do, is get his players to play forward, be more aggressive in these midfield areas. As Eze receives in this position, there isn't anyone in that number 10 area or a false 9 dropping off the line, but Gyokeres has already made that move to the wide area. Straight away, Eze has given him the ball. This is the position that you need to see Viktor Gyokeres. We didn't see this at all against Man City. And when you look at how City play and how they open up when they get into their possession shape, these areas are always available in the transition. Arteta didn't do it at all. But from this position with Viktor Gyokeres, what he's going to do, he's going to drive directly at you. He's going to make it so uncomfortable for the defender. But not only that, this is another kind of trait that we saw quite a lot of Gyokeres in Portugal. Not only would he start an attack on one wing, he'd drive across, he'd then link the play, but one thing he likes to do is overlap the attacker. And this is something, once again, that Arsenal seem to not quite get right now, especially Arsenal's wide players that have played so far this season. Because look at Gyokeres in this moment, a really good overlap on the outside and a trademark high power finish into the top corner. Unfortunately, this crashes against the bar, but it's great work from Gyokeres. Get him the ball early, allow him to run, he will make things happen. The profile is different to last season. Kai Havertz plays that kind of roaming role. He drops off, he moves into the channels, he runs high, he drops low, but he's really good into feet. But that's a different game to Viktor Gyokeres. You want to get Viktor Gyokeres the ball in those types of positions where he's got a bit of space and he can drive. And if we take it even further, his goal against Leeds United is exactly how Arsenal need to start playing. We mentioned before about Arsenal playing against mid-blocks. This is the example what I mean. Leeds are sat in a 4-4-2 shape. They're sat in the middle of the pitch. Arsenal have got the ball just out of their defensive third. They've progressed the play from their goalkeeper. But this is the idea. When you take a look at what Arsenal need to do in this midfield area, it's not only at attacking midfield where they need to play more direct passes, but at the base as well. Of course, Calafiori's drifted inside. He's inverted into a position as we've seen him do time and time again for Arsenal. But this ball is fantastic. But just look at Viktor Gyokeres. He's already ready to spin in behind the defence. Calafiori's already checked it. He doesn't even check his shoulder in this moment. He plays the pass over the top, and Gyokeres is in behind the defence. Once again, the defence is retreating. It's trying to get back. So when you drive back inside, not only are you killing the momentum of them moving back to get towards their own goal, but it opens up these types of opportunities to cut in and then drive the ball into the bottom corner. Once again, this is exactly how you want to use Viktor Gyokeres. And going back to the tactical side of the game, mentioned before how we want the attacking midfielders to kind of play those passes in behind the defence, but it also, when the opposition get into their mid-block, and of course Arsenal move into their kind of 3-2-5 structure, that of course is the 2-8s moving a little bit higher. That's a fullback inverting from the left-hand side and then creating a back 3 from a possession sense. Those types of balls over the top from Calafiori or from the defensive midfield line need to happen a lot more frequently. Again, with Calafiori, he's got a great range, but also Zubimendi playing those types of passes over the top. That creates a lot of problems for the opposition. Not only have they got to think about Declan Rice, the 2 opposition central midfielders, or let's say it's a 3-man midfield, exactly the same kind of concept. You know, let's say if it's 3-man midfield, 4-3-3, they've still got 2 players that have got to deal with the the 2-8s from Arsenal, or potentially they're jumping one on. You've still got the same problem where there could be a 3-man in midfield for Arsenal against these mid-blocks, and then they need to go over the top. Be more direct. Or even we saw previously Viktor Gyokeres for the moment against Forest, where he's actually drifted to the wide area to link with the left midfielder. Again, that is a massive part of where Arsenal's game needs to develop. Quick balls into the channels for Viktor Gyokeres. Get him the ball, he'll make things happen. He was averaging nearly 5 shot creating actions in Portugal. That is ridiculous numbers per 90. Arsenal just need to be more direct. Which moves on to the final third. Arsenal need to be much better when creating chances for Viktor Gyokeres. His shot numbers are down, his expected goals numbers are down. Arsenal aren't creating the right kind of chance for Gyokeres. And this is a big thing in football. All centre forwards are different. They have different traits that they do in and around the penalty area. A false nine will drop off the ball and look for the cutback. A target man will usually move to the back post and wait for the ball to get kind of dinked up. Viktor Gyokeres is a player that attacks both posts, but he attacks the space. He doesn't stop, doesn't wait for the cutbacks, and that's the type of chances that Arsenal need to start creating. In terms of the last kind of season and a half, or probably last maybe 3 years or so forth, what Arsenal have been doing with Kai Havertz in there, but also maybe a Declan Rice and Mikel Moreno attacking the kind of penalty area when they're in these crossing positions, is kind of like hanging the ball up. That being, you know, crosses that are put up for players to jump and it to be an aerial duel in that situation. So let's say Madueke's in this crossing position. They've created an opportunity with space. He's going to look to cut the ball back onto his left foot and then kind of swing it to the back post or hang it up in that area. This isn't how you get the best out of Viktor Gyokeres. This is something that you've got another centre forward in Kai Havertz that was started to get really good at getting onto those balls, you know, being delivered in that situation, allowing him to kind of move to an area to attack the ball. It would work really well for Kai Havertz to get there and the ball get headed in. But Arsenal now have got a completely different type of centre forward. Viktor Gyokeres is not a target man. He's not a player that's excelled with his head. Wasn't great in Portugal with his head because they didn't create those chances. He still scored more goals than any other player in Europe's top 7 leagues. So it means Arsenal need to start adapting to his method of how he wants his chances to be created. And I tell you what, it's not. It's not hanging the ball up to him. It's not having an aerial duel in the penalty area that he has to go and win, like Arsenal have done with Kai Havertz. He's got 2 good examples against Manchester City of exactly this. First up, we've got Leandro Trossard on the overlap crossing the ball. The big thing here is you've got Viktor Gyokeres is kind of sitting in a back post position. What he likes to do in this area is attack the space between the outside centre back and the outside full back on the floor. He likes low crosses that he can tap in. Classic centre forward play. So as Calafiori cuts inside, Trossard goes on the overlap and he gets to a pretty good area. But instead of maybe finding Viktor Gyokeres low and maybe attacking that back post, he hangs across up to the near post that's easily defended by Gvardiol. This is a real problem. This is not Viktor Gyokeres' game. If Arsenal wanted a player that had NBA style jumping and good heading, they should have bought Benjamin Šeško. That's the player they should have signed. But now they've got to adapt their game because they've spent £57 million on Gyokeres. It's a waste of time putting these types of balls into the box. That's not Kai Havertz. That's not Benjamin Šeško. But this continued with crosses from the other side. Big switch out from Trossard to Saka on the far side. Once again, we've got Gyokeres highlighted in the penalty area. As Saka brings the ball down, Gyokeres wants it served to that near post. If Saka drills that low, Gyokeres has got a jump on Ruben Diaz, and again he likes finishing from this area. Not only that chance we saw before against Forest where he crashed the bar, he really likes this type of finish, because again he likes to go high from low crosses, but instead of putting that ball into that area, it's hung up, which allows Ruben Diaz to get beneath the ball and head it away. Again, not Viktor Gyokeres' game. You have to adapt to your centre forward. And at the moment in the final third, Arsenal are not doing that. And in fact, if we go earlier on in that move, Arsenal make the first mistake we were talking about being direct to Viktor Gyokeres. So as Arsenal go and win the ball back in central midfield, there's a really good turnover. Gyokeres gets the ball and he drives, he carries. City are backing off, they're scared, they know that he's got real quality in these situations. Instead of kind of driving through, he drops the ball back to Saka. But here's the first mistake of that move. Not only does Saka hang the ball up when it should be drilled to the near post, but number 2, you've got to be sliding Viktor Gyokeres in behind the defence in these situations. That's 2 mistakes in one move that needs to be corrected by Arteta. So we've spoken about what Arsenal shouldn't do from a crossing perspective, but also Arsenal's wingers need to maybe look for more crosses than cutting in themselves and shooting. It's a thing that we've seen with Arsenal over the years, and yes, they've scored a lot of goals with players cutting inside and getting shots away. But with Viktor Gyokeres' movement, And having the players such as Madueke and Saka, especially on this right-hand side, that have got the ability to get to the byline, once again, it would be good for them to start getting their head up a little more and finding the back post or finding the near post as a previous example. But a good example of, once again, from that Man City game. We pick up the play of Madueke in the penalty area, one of Arsenal's best players after the last few games. But here's where the decision is a little bit wrong, and this is where it needs to adapt to get Gyokeres scoring more goals. So Madueke does really well against O'Reilly, explodes on the outside, and instead of putting a low cross to the back post, once again, we've spoken about how Viktor Gyokeres likes to attack space at the back post, at the near post. Instead of playing that type of pass and Arsenal having a tap in, he goes for goal. And once again, the keeper saves it and Arsenal's move breaks down. If Arsenal want to create more chances for Gyokeres, they need to start making this decision instead of this decision. And one final thing when talking about Arsenal's crossing to Viktor Gyokeres, cross into space ahead of Gyokeres, either low at the near post or low at the far post. Gyokeres is a player that attacks space well. He's not a kind of stop and stand still player and let the game move around him. And in terms of this from the left hand side, instead of playing crosses that are kind of cutbacks, it's very much into the space to allow Viktor Gyokeres to use his explosivity in the penalty area to get there. And this is a really important thing. And we saw Trossard make the wrong decision once again against Man City, receiving a ball from Eze in the penalty area and firing it first time. But instead of finding that pass, playing it ahead of Viktor Gyokeres, he looks to a kind of cutback situation and Gyokeres runs past it and the moment is lost. This is a big thing. These are little adaptations to really improve Arsenal. So just to kind of summarise what Arsenal need to do from a crossing perspective, number one, they need to stop hanging crosses up to the back post for a player to get there and use his head. They need to very much, instead of looking to kind of cut inside and shoot, they need to look to cut inside, get it to the byline, and then fire the ball to the back post or the near post. And finally, maybe from the left-hand side, they need to look to play the ball ahead of Gyokeres, not behind. All these things will mean more goals for Arsenal, more games won, and the tactic fixed. And the last thing that Arteta needs to do to fix Viktor Gyokeres is play Eberechi more. That be it on the left-hand side. Again, we saw, against Nottingham Forest, the really good goal created from Calafiori, carrying out of defence, playing a long ball over the top. And again, first time to the back post to Viktor Gyokeres. Really simple football. And this is something that Arsenal need to do more. It's an area of their game that they need to improve. And just taking a look at this possession play, this is fine. But the directness comes in the move. So Arsenal building up through defence and midfield, then rocking the ball back to Calafiori, who's actually in a natural left-sided centre-back position. Calafiori drives forward in the space, clips the ball over the top. We can see Gyokeres running between the two centre-backs. Ez is in behind the defence, and straight away, a low cross into space, a goal for Viktor Gyokeres. Kind of simple when you talk about it, but Arteta needs to adapt his tactics. And when looking at Eze, one of the big things obviously from the left-hand side, playing those kind of, that direct option in behind the defence, but also as a number 10. I think Eze should play a lot more in these kind of areas. An area where he can get on the ball and play passes. We all saw kind of how good he was, from a deep area, for his assist for Martinelli, but that also could be for Viktor Gyokeres. He's got a really good range of passing, which could mean that you have someone like Eze dropping a little bit deeper from that number 10 area. Maybe Calafiori can take up that position, and then he can play direct passes in behind the defence. He's got a great weight of pass, but also the ability to carry through. And taking a look at that assist for Martinelli, Arsenal once again missed the direct pass for Viktor Gyokeres. There was so many clips from this game where Gyokeres made the move, such as this move, running in behind the defence, that Arsenal simply ignored. That needs to change. Of course, in this instance, Eze gets on the ball, turns, so you don't put any pressure on the ball. The pass is fantastic. The execution is great. And Martinelli gets over the defence, dinks the keeper, and Arsenal grab a really big point. But I just think from Eze, not only would you get that kind of passing from deep, as we previously looked at, but also that ability to carry from those areas and try and find Gyokeres in the channels. And when we look at what I mean here, take Haaland's goal against Arsenal. The ball bouncing around in a midfield area that eventually finds its way to Reinders. These are the types of things that Eze could do for Arsenal. Winning a 50-50 in midfield from one of the midfielders, shipping it to Eze and allowing him to carry. This type of position that Haaland takes up, this is 101 Viktor Gyokeres at Sporting Club de Portugal. In these moments, after a ball carry, simply finding him behind the defence and Gyokeres providing the finish. Arsenal could do that, Eze being the ball carrier, Gyokeres providing the finish. If Arsenal correct these things, Gyokeres will easily score 20 goals in the Premier League. If they don't, he's going to look like a poacher on the last line, won't get many touches, and will struggle to get into a good goal-scoring run. Arteta needs to change his tactics. Now he's got the squad to really challenge for the Premier League title. It's all about him adapting and making his team better, and that is using their number 9. But anyway, guys, if you're new around here, make sure to hit that subscribe button, like the video, and get in the comments below. Is there anything else that Arsenal need to change to get the best out of their Swedish striker? Subscribe if you're new. We'll see you later.
Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, why not check out some more content on the Statman Dave YouTube channel?